The one thing I really enjoyed was the final episode of the season where Lawrence came to the apartment to pick up some stuff because Issa was moving out. What's up everybody? Welcome back to another one of my videos. If you are new here, I'm Ramy B. What I'm going to be doing today is going over season 2 of Insecure. It's been a couple weeks since I finished watching season 2 of Insecure. I got my laptop on my lap right here and I took some notes of things that I want to cover. Similarly to the season 1 review, this is going to be somewhat short because again, it's over a year old and I'd rather focus my longer reaction on season 3 reaction. So if you are new here, make sure you click the subscribe button down below, like this video, comment, let me know if you are Team Lawrence or Team Daniel or any other team from the show. So let's get started. The way I'm going to do this reaction is more of the 3 main characters, Molly, Issa, and Lawrence. So as you know, Molly in season 2, she found out that her white coworker was making more money than her and he doesn't work as hard or as much as her, I guess you could say. And I thought that was very interesting because it is a common thing that occurs in the workplace, especially among women in America. And then when you talk about the race of women as well, compared to men of other races. So that was a very interesting narrative that they went with. And then you saw Molly trying to navigate that. She actually ended up with a therapist. So she talked to the therapist about it on multiple occasions. She went to that, I think it was a hockey game with a lot of the front office management people at her firm. And she was trying to get in with the guys, but it didn't seem to work out so much. So she started interviewing at other places. In the meantime, she's still trying to figure out what to do relationship-wise. She went to this event with Issa, and I think it was the one Dro invited them to. And that was very interesting because Dro said that he's in an open relationship with his wife, and Molly was kind of questioning, you know, it looked like she had an interest there, of course. And then after talking to her girlfriends and attending her parents' like wedding renewals or whatever it's called, and finding out that, like, you know, she left really upset because she found out her father cheated on her mother and she had this image of marriage based on her parents, and it seemed like that's what she's been chasing the whole time, this perfect relationship, which now she found out doesn't exist, and even her parents went through some stuff. So she ended up sleeping with Dro, and it's interesting because the entire episode she's like going back and forth debating whether this is something she should continue or not, and she had some trouble putting up boundaries. And I feel like if I remember correctly, she did try to at the end, but then didn't stick with it, and then interviewing at other jobs and getting offers, and then when she told her firm that she did get other offers, they just gave her like a Rising Star award instead of giving her a raise that she probably deserved. One thing I noticed about Molly is she has this image of a guy that she wants. I know she was talking to the dude that's in the Chicago firm. He's a little bit chubbier, and she ended up having a fling thing with him when she was there, and it seemed like she mentioned that she really liked him, but something wasn't right. And you can tell with Molly that she's looking for like the perfect guy, like a certain height, certain look, certain career. And it seems like every guy she meets, there's something that she is afraid of committing to. Like there's something there that makes her not want to commit. So it's definitely very interesting if it's, maybe she has a fear of commitment, or maybe there's nobody that's perfect for her and she just won't find anybody. But that was a very interesting thing. Now moving on to Issa and Lawrence. I'm not sure how long the time frame was at the end of season 1 to the beginning of season 2, but I don't think it was that long, maybe a couple of months. And you start off the bat, you see Lawrence is dating Tasha. It seems like he wasn't really that committed. He was only there on weekends, but still staying at Chad's place, and he had some conflicts about that. And then he got invited to like her family cookout, and then admitted that something wasn't right, and she called him an F-boy, which really like threw him off because he comes off like he thinks he's such a good guy, and I think that really threw him off and messed with him. And it seemed like he was starting to develop a fling with that girl at work, Arpana, and he did. And then it's like this interesting thing where he keeps like checking for Issa. He checked her Facebook and then realized that she had a picture with Daniel, which I'll get to later, and then he ended up blocking her, and I think she found out he blocked her, and it was just a mess from there. And then he ended up getting this interest in Arpana and took her to that dinner for his friend, who was also married to Issa's friend, and I'll get into that after I get into Issa. But yeah, it seemed like with him, he's just trying to figure himself out. He obviously wasn't over Issa, but he was still trying to talk to other women and see kind of what path he could go, which obviously none of it worked out because he still had this anger towards Issa and some resentment. Now Issa was a lot more interesting because she had issues connecting with men, so she'd go out on dates and have issues not being able to talk to them, and just, it seemed like she was comparing all the men to Lawrence, and she just couldn't, she wasn't over him either. That's pretty much what it comes down to. She wasn't over him, and she was just coming to like terms that there's nobody that's going to be perfect enough or fit her, and she just wanted to end up having essentially a phase where she will sleep around with a lot of men just like Molly, and I guess just have fun and not really look for something serious. She ended up getting back in contact with Daniel after that party, and then started messing around with Daniel, and then they started having tension. It's a very interesting dynamic between Daniel and Issa because they're always on and off with each other, and it's like weird. It's like they like each other, but they know they're not compatible, so it's like good times and bad times. Also at her job, she was having this interesting conflict with Frida because the vice principal seemed to be very racist and prejudiced against Hispanic individuals, and she didn't care because they were getting people, but Frida was having issues, and that developed some conflict between them, and she like didn't care, but then later she did, and you know, admitted he was racist. And then like I think in season 2 is where she got like she lost her position at work because she admitted that the vice principal acts that way, and she was just looking for the numbers. So then she got demoted to like not out in the field. So that was a very interesting dynamic at work, and you can tell that there was an issue going on there with her being the only African-American woman in like a place primarily of white people, even though they mostly cater to Hispanic and African-American. So that was a very interesting dynamic there too as well. But I wanted to get into the whole thing with the dinner that Lawrence and Issa got invited to. Arpana came, he didn't know it was a sit-down dinner. He thought it was like a party thing. There was some tension there, and then Issa walks out, Lawrence goes out, and then they start confronting each other about people. She brought up Tasha, he brought up Daniel. They exchanged some words, and you know, he left angry and then had an issue with Arpana, and she ended up leaving. And it just seemed like they were both in a position where they were trying to move on a lot faster than they should have. The one thing I really enjoyed was the final episode of the season where Lawrence came to the apartment to pick up some stuff because Issa was moving out. He didn't know she was moving into Daniel's essentially. And they had a nice little time talking about how things used to be and stuff, and then Issa ended up having one of her like dream moments where she started imagining them getting married. And at one point I was like, oh, they're actually getting married, but I was like, no, I know there's a season 3. That would be weird. Like they just jump years ahead, like they got married and had a kid and everything like that. But you could tell that she still had things for him, and he still did. He definitely had feelings for her, but he probably wasn't gonna, you know, take advantage of those or like act on them because of how he felt towards her and the action she did when she cheated with Daniel. So it was a very interesting ending to that. And overall, I thought the season was really good because now you got to see the separation between Issa and Lawrence and their individual lives and how it kind of intertwined here and there. They'd come back in connection, they'd run into each other's friends. Like it was just a very weird thing. And considering LA's big, but I guess it's not that big because they kept running into each other. But it was a very interesting dynamic, and then Molly navigating her own relationship thing. So it's like 3 really big storylines there, and it's cool how they all started kind of in like a closed circle season 1, and then season 2 they expanded into their own storylines, and how Issa and Lawrence are both having issues maneuvering through the dating world and just their independent world. Like Lawrence got his own apartment and it just felt weird. Issa was like alone. The whole thing just felt weird for them. So it was definitely very interesting. I really enjoyed this season. I'd probably give it an 8.5 out of 10. I was very excited. I'd already seen season 3, by the way, before I recorded this, so it's hard to like decipher which one was season 2 and 3. But overall, I really enjoyed it. Definitely still team Lawrence. I feel like Daniel essentially messed up the whole relationship because he decided that there was a thing with Issa, and it seemed like he kept like, season 1 just kept like taking jabs, trying to like get her interested in things like that. So it was definitely a great season. So I'm very interested to see how season 3 turns out. But yeah, that is my quick reaction to season 2 of Insecure. Thank you very much for everyone who has tuned in. Comment down below, are you team Lawrence, team Daniel, whatever team you're on, team Issa, I don't know, whatever team you're on. And yeah, if you are new here, make sure you click the subscribe button. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm really become such a fan of the show. It took me a while to get into it because I always thought it wasn't gonna be that good, but it's great, and now I can't wait to continue watching season 3 and future seasons. So thank you very much, and I'm out.